What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. The Blazers tonight fall in overtime to the Phoenix Suns by a final score of 111 to 107. This was a game that the Blazers trailed around halftime. Phoenix went on a run to start the third. The Blazers battled back. It was a pretty tight game down the stretch, but after building a 4-point lead, 100 to 96 late in this game, the Blazers choke it away, missing clutch free throws, having horrible defensive possessions, and it's par for the course with how this season has gone so far. This one was a tough one. This one was rough. This is definitely the roughest loss of the season. The Blazers fall for the sixth straight time. They have now lost 9 out of 10 games, and the team is spiraling out of control. This was a game that the Blazers had an opportunity to win with Phoenix missing Devin Booker. This was a game I felt like the Blazers needed to win. I don't like calling games this early in the season must-wins, but tonight felt like a must-win, and for Portland to have this game seemingly in the bag and then choke at the free throw line and let this game go into overtime was extremely disappointing. So Eric, man, what are your thoughts on this absolute choke job from the Blazers tonight?
Well, I was watching this game and I was trying to think of a good analogy, and I came up with this. I had a cat once who got kidney failure, had kidney issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good cat, but couldn't control its bladder and just started peeing everywhere. You hope that it's just like an infection and then it'll go away, but I have a feeling this is liver failure, and we're watching a team just deteriorate in front of our eyes, and it's frustrating because we saw flashes tonight of a decent team still being in there. You still want to hope that they can turn it around, but they just do the dumbest things, and it's like they can't help themselves. It's like, oh, we're playing good defense. Oh, let's one person just mess it all up for everyone and leave a wide open 3-point shooter in a close game in overtime or something. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it's like I know they mean well, but they don't have it this year. Whatever it is, they just don't have it. Yeah. I guess that's more of a eulogy than an analogy, but yeah,
It is Dame just bailing out all their stupidity with ridiculous threes in the clutch. Mm-hmm. When Dame isn't hitting ridiculous threes in the clutch, this team is an absolute joke in the clutch. In overtime and in the clutch, it was everybody being scared to make a play, not running any freaking offense, and everybody just, let's try and get the ball to Dame and hope he can make a miraculous shot. It was pathetic. We end up scoring 5 freaking points in the overtime. 5 minutes, 5 freaking points. And, we put some blame on Terry because he ran a super stagnant offense, least assists in the league, lowest assist percentage, lowest amount of passes per game, whatnot, right? But I don't know if it was players got so wired in the clutch to just feed the ball to Dame no matter what that, they can't figure it out now. I don't know why it's still that much of an issue. But we saw it with Minnesota when they ratcheted up the pressure in the fourth quarter. We fell apart. What happened today? We fell apart in the clutch. Not only but it's like a mental thing too, because not only did we fall apart in the half court, we fell apart from the freaking free throw line. And it's like everybody. Norm goes to the line. Blazers are, what were they? They were up one.
Yep.
And I knew as a fact that he was going to miss a free throw. I knew it as well as I know my own name. Dude, it's so bad this year. feel like I can sense when bad things are about to happen with this team. And that makes it even worse. That makes it even harder to handle. Because I knew going to the line, he's going to miss a free throw. And what do you know? First free throw, he misses. And then Nurkic was at the line before that. I knew he was going to miss a free throw. Of course, he missed a free throw. And it doesn't matter if you have good free throw shooters at the line. Dame and OT down 3 with about 10 seconds left. They foul us to make us shoot free throws. And he misses the first free throw. Like, of course he does. It's, dude, like, this team is so mentally in the gutter right now. It's so sad. It's so frustrating because we showed signs of life to begin the season. I mean, we faced the Phoenix Suns. They were full strength, and we beat them by 30. We played good defense. We got good shots. We played with good energy. We played smart. And I feel like that team showed what it's capable of. But we are regressing extremely quickly right now with just, and a lot of it's just mentality. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this team is mentally in the gutter. And I don't know how much blame to put on Chauncey for that. I don't know how much blame, like, not having Dame for 5 games obviously hurt the team, and maybe losing as much as they have has just messed with the psyche of this team. But there's a serious mental issue with this team right now, and you saw it down the stretch. That's why they fold under pressure. They are not resilient. They do not respond well to adversity, and it's really sad to watch.
Yeah, and extremely frustrating. I don't know how many more, like, frustration games I can take with, like, they just, I know they know how to play the right way. It's just, I never like to make a trade just to make a trade, but I feel like they just need to do something different. Like,
at this point, I'm ready to ship off like a number of guys, dude.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they mixed up the starting lineup, but then what the heck is wrong with us at the beginning of quarters? So, like, we come out at the beginning of the third quarter, just get trounced and get down, like, 14. When we cut it to 4, we had all this momentum.
Yeah, just like last game, just like the Timberwolves game, started the second half.
I'm going to ask the same question. I'm going to be fair to Stotts here. What are we doing at halftime? What are we doing? Like, earlier in the season, we had the first few games, it seemed like we had some good adjustments at halftime. I feel like those have just gone away, and we're just trying to run this basic system again, and it's not working. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. It was 49-45 with 11:46 left in the third quarter, and the Suns got it up to 61-51 with about 8 minutes left. And then we're fighting from behind. We're fighting from behind too much, and we're able to claw back. Like, that's the thing is, the Blazers were up 2 at the end of the third quarter. They made a good comeback. Robert Covington made some threes. He made 2 threes in the final minutes to kind of get us back into the thing, and that's the thing is, like, we need Rocco to make a higher percentage of threes. He was only shooting 34%, and he had a wide open 3 with a couple minutes left and barely hit front rim. You know what I mean? Like, this team seems scared, seems way too nervous in crunch time. The dude at the end of the third hits 2 threes, but then he gets a wide open 3 near the end of the fourth, and he almost airballs.
Yeah. Well, the reliance on Dame. Okay, so he comes back, right? Sunday. He was obviously tired. He said he felt good after the game, but all his shots in the fourth quarter were short, pretty much, right? So what do we do tonight? The second game back. We're on the first night of a back-to-back. Dame plays the entire second half.
He played the entire second half?
He played the entire second half. He was at 42 minutes when this fourth quarter ended. And you know he's going to play the whole 5 minutes of overtime. So he finished with 47 minutes tonight.
Even Stotts wouldn't have done that.
In the first night of a back-to-back, coming off an injury where it required rest to get him healthy. If we would have lost because we sat Dame, that's one thing. But you can't play him the whole second half and lose And on top of that, Dame has to recognize, no matter, I know he's used to hitting those shots, but when you're coming back from an injury and you're tired in the fourth quarter of this game, we have the ball up 2. You can't be shooting that sidestep, fadeaway 3-point crap. Like, it was a terrible shot.
Eric, when everybody else on the court is scared to even do anything with the ball and all they do is turn their back to the basket and just try and find you just to hand you the ball and pray you make something happen. I mean, I didn't like the shot either, but I think it's something more than just Dame.
This is the problem. That was like our game plan. So I don't necessarily blame the players for not feeling comfortable in those situations when it was either Dame's going to hit that, we're going to win, or we're going to lose probably. So.
Well, here's the thing: is you need a CJ McCollum in that situation. You need somebody else that can create shots for himself or others. That guy in the clutch is not Norman Powell. You need that second. If you're gonna play a brand of basketball where you just melt away offensively with your structure down the stretch, you need guys that can just make something happen out of nothing. And without CJ, unless Dame just hits insanely difficult shots, you're screwed. Like, Dame has to hit insanely difficult shots or you're screwed, because nobody else either has the capability or has the mental wherewithal to be that guy in crunch time. And that's where CJ McCollum became underrated by Blazer fans, in my opinion, is he was that guy where if they're loading up on Dame, you can give it to CJ, he'll make something happen, right? Like, I wish we had CJ down the stretch offensively in this game. And in the Timberwolves game, shoot, if we had CJ McCollum right now, I think we win this game, I think we win the last game, right? It's not an excuse, because we shouldn't have lost either of these past 2 games, and it's ridiculous how we lost these past 2 games, but you need that guy to just give the ball to if everybody else is going to be scared and Dame's getting a ton of attention and not hitting insane shots, because he's played the whole freaking second half for whatever reason, which is just stupid by Chauncey. Chauncey has to figure it out, minutes-wise, dude. And he's talked about it, and he plays him the whole second half. You got to be freaking kidding me with that. That pisses me off, actually, because you want Dame to be healthy, right? We need Dame. Yeah. We're screwed if Dame's not healthy. We saw how we played without him. We're tanking for Jabari Smith or Chet Holmgren or Banchero if Dame's not healthy. So don't run him into the freaking ground.
The only thing I can think of is if they already knew they were sitting him tomorrow night on the second night of a back-to-back.
It still doesn't even matter.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point if that was the plan, but yeah.
It still doesn't even matter. You don't play... Dude, even if he's, been healthy, you don't play him 23 straight minutes. That's ridiculous over the second half in OT. Unless it's a playoff game.
29 straight minutes.
Yeah, 24. Yeah, 29 straight minutes. My math ain't there. Yeah. I was thinking 18 plus 5. 29 straight minutes. That's terrible. That's horrible. Yeah, I mean, it's just sad, dude.
Yeah, I will say, on your Norm take, I don't think we really even gave him a chance to do anything in the fourth quarter. So
he's just, but dude, I don't trust Norm in the clutch. He goes to the free throw line, and I know he's gonna miss a free throw, and he misses a free throw. I know it's just one free throw, but I don't trust him in the clutch. He's not going to. He had 0 assists today in 39 minutes, 3 turnovers. Right? He's not a guy who knows how to pass the ball. He has, he's only a scorer. That's legitimately all he is right now, which is frustrating. Defensively, I thought he was horrible down the stretch today. Once again, very disappointing defensively. There's a couple possessions where I felt like he was being extremely lazy. And then offensively, man, if everything's he can score if he has a little bit of a driving lane, or he's stepping into the pass, or he's playing kind of in the flow of things, catching the ball in the corner and just immediately taking it baseline. If he has to square up and face up against a defender and do stuff off the dribble, especially in the clutch, I don't trust him as much as I trust CJ.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen a big enough sample size to say for sure he can't do it or whatever.
Yeah, but we're struggling to get Dame the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Norm didn't want to go get it and make things happen. You know what I mean? Norm, like, no, if your number 2 guy needs to see, okay, they are absolutely denying the number 1 guy, everybody else isn't making anything happen, they're scared to make something happen, I, as the number 2, need to step up for my number 1, go get the ball and make something happen for myself or for somebody else, because the alternative is we're going to get a terrible shot. And Powell, where was he? Where was he? He wasn't a factor on those possessions.
Well, but that's why we've always asked for some sort of structure there instead of just hero ball and pick and roll and stuff. So I thought we should have tried something, because when Dame gets hot, there's opportunity there for other players. And that's when I think running some off-ball actions, coming either whether it's Simons or Norm or someone to get an open 3 in those situations, or a cut down the middle off a Nurk pass or something, just to take some pressure off of Dame. But we didn't really do that either. So I can't really blame them for not going and getting the ball when the game plan was obviously to let Dame run pick and roll and just stay in the corner and space.
But here's the thing is, like, I don't trust certain guys on this roster to execute a set in crunch time when they're dealing with ball pressure, because too many of these guys will pivot and turn away from the hoop when they're dealing with a lot of ball pressure in crunch time. Like Nurkic does it, Rocco does it, Norman Powell even does it. Simons did it a couple times tonight. Like, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm disagreeing with you here, because I agree with you, but I also feel like you got guys on this roster where if you're trying to run something, they're just going to be too scared to throw the pass, and they're just going to pivot away, not be a threat, not be a scorer, not square up, not rip through, jab step, get in triple threat, basic basketball things. I don't trust guys on this roster to do it, because I've seen too much over the years, and especially the last 2 games, where guys are just like turn away from the hoop, like, oh, I just need to find Dame because that way I won't turn it over. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, but if the play is for Dame to do a pick and roll and you get the ball, you're basically supposed to find Dame in that situation. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
I just think it might be more than. I would just
like to see if Norm comes off a double screen off ball and he's wide open for a 3 and he runs and gives the ball back to Dame, then I'd be in complete agreement with you. But I want to see that happen before I say that someone is playing that way or doing that. I'm not gonna go that far unless I actually see something being designed for that player and then him happening. Because Norm did get the ball a couple times. He had that and one. That was a big play in this game.
He made that move off a pass though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he ain't doing it like if he's having to like dribble the ball beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really have a chance to do that often.
I mean, yeah, I don't trust Norm. Like I haven't. Like what I've seen has been more negative than positive in crunch time from Norm. But like I just think it's more than that, because if you're not in a system and you can't get Dame the ball, if you're a basketball player in the NBA and everybody's being denied and you can't get Dame the ball, at that point, shoot, you have somebody up on you on the perimeter and there's not people in help side position, that's a perfect time to just be strong, square up, rip through, and attack the rim.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's being pressured. There's nobody 15 feet off their man sagging into the paint. They're denying everything, right? And at least if somebody is sagging into the paint, somebody does come over and help side, you can make a play. But that's the thing, is like, when even the slowest guys, if they're being defended in a way where the defender is up into them on the three-point line, as long as they're just strong with the ball and rip it through so it doesn't get swiped, and just make a strong first step, you're going to be able to get by your defender. And then they have to help, and then you make something happen. It's just basic basketball. But these guys won't even do that. Like, I could understand, okay, the game plan is to get the ball to Dame, but when he's denied on the first chance, the second chance to give him the ball, and you're in that position, at some point you just make a freaking play.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it the same way as I saw people trying once it got to that point, but yeah, I don't know.
What are the first two donos? I lost them in my chat feed. Do you have them?
The first one I have is from Mills Woj. I don't know if there was any before that.
I think there was two before that disappeared. So if one of you was that donation, just let me know and leave a comment in chat. Sorry, YouTube sometimes glitches out and makes it so that we can't see all donos. But we got Mills Woj, $5 dono, says, hate him or love him, miss CJ tonight. Absolutely agree, Mills Woj. Appreciate your support as always. Shout Carlton Pagano Jackson with the $10 dono. He says, tough night. I expect Norm and Nance to miss one free throw every game. It's beginning to be normal for them. I don't get it. Lots of moving parts to come this season. Much love to you both as always. Appreciate you, Carlton, and all the support that you give us. Norm doesn't shoot bad, but it's like I feel like I can tell when he's gonna miss. It's strange. I don't know, dude. Like I knew he was gonna miss that free throw. I knew it. I feel like everybody knew it. Did you think he was gonna miss a free throw in that situation, Eric?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's just the gut feeling is tough. Shout Bored Annie with a $5 dono, says, appreciate your analysis as always. Appreciate you. Glad you appreciate our analysis. Good and bad.
Thanks, everyone.
Tonight was definitely bad. Shout RT Shaggy Squid, $5 Australian dono, says, Norm was clutch for the Raptors in clutch time situations. He is capable. We just haven't been setting him up for success, to be honest. And that could be the case. You know, that's the thing is it's probably not just any one thing. It's probably a combination of a bunch of different things right now, because the only way you get to such a bad situation is if you have multiple things that are going wrong. And right now I think it's probably multiple things. So I just... The mental side of things with some of these guys I've been discouraged by, because I thought they were better mentally at handling these situations, and right now I just don't see that. And then shout out Andrew Miller, member for 14 months. Appreciate your member message, Andrew. He says, Norm hit some big shots tonight. The free throw miss was bad, but I don't really agree with this take. That's fine. Appreciate your message. And he was 9 for 17 tonight, so I don't want to make it sound like he had an inefficient night. He just needed to try and take over when Dame's being denied. I wanted him to go get the ball and take over. Like, we're not in a set already. So, like, that's the thing, is the first problem is we're not running anything, all right? That's the first problem. The second problem is, okay, when we're not running anything, we just look for Dame, and Dame's being denied, okay? So to respond to that, Norm needs to step up as the number 2 on the court and make something happen. Like, go get the ball and make something happen off the dribble. But that's the problem with him is, like, if the ball's freely moving around the arc, he's able to catch a pass, rip through, attack. That's how he had his and one, right? But if things are stagnant and he has to go get the ball and then square up against the defender, I haven't seen him do it successfully enough. So it might not be like his fault that he has to do that. Like, we should be running things and shouldn't be completely out of our offense. But when we are out of our offense and can't get the ball to Dame, he needs to step up there, or at least try. And I felt like he didn't try enough tonight in that regard. Hopefully that makes sense. So I know that's probably a controversial take and Eric disagrees with it, but that's okay.
I put that 100% on the coaching. So if you want Norm to do that and he's not doing that, then I don't know. To me, it looks like he's being coached to get the ball to Dame, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but at some point you gotta say, screw it, we can't get Dame the ball. Make a play.
You can't just say screw it if you're trying to do what the coach wants. If you're trying to run the offense that the coach wants you to run, you can't just say screw it in the middle of the play. That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, but if things are so here's my question, Eric. I guess here's my question. If they are so out of sync offensively and they can't get Dame the ball on like the first, second attempt, do you think Chauncey's telling them, like, no matter what, even if you can't get him the ball, don't do anything, just make sure try and get him the ball?
I mean, obviously he wouldn't say that, but I don't know. I felt like it wasn't a problem of Dame being denied the ball. I felt like he was getting into the pick and roll. It just, they were
I mean, it wasn't
just making bad decisions out of it. I don't know.
It wasn't every possession. It wasn't every possession, but it's like when I see that and I don't see Norm stepping up in that situation, I just like, it seemed like nobody wanted to step up and help out Dame on possessions where they couldn't get him the ball.
Yeah, but
and I felt like they played scared offensively down the stretch.
If you look at the spacing on the floor, it's quite obvious that Norm, his role in that spot is to stand in the corner and space the floor. And yeah, so maybe he shouldn't be there, but once again, I think that's a coaching thing. And all the times where he comes up, it's when Dame passes to Nurk, but Nurk's not in like a scoring position. He's more near the free throw line, and Nurk waits for Norm to come up, and then he's aggressive out of it. So I didn't see times where he was supposed to come up, or he was supposed to, or he could have been maybe aggressive and didn't. I saw times where the play was obviously for Dame, and he was trying to make sure he was in the right spot, and I didn't really see him. I don't know. I just saw it differently than you.
I mean, but what does CJ do in that situation? CJ goes and gets the ball and makes something happen. You know, and some people like hate it, like, oh, CJ he shoots a bad shot and whatnot, but at least he tries to make something happen in that situation.
But we want to go away from this. We want to have
absolutely.
Offense, so that's my whole problem.
Absolutely. I just want guys who mentally are like, dang, we can't get Dame the ball. I'm gonna step up and make something happen. I want players that like have that mentality, and I felt like nobody showed that mentality tonight.
I don't put that on the players at all. That's 100% coaching to me.
But do you think Norm was sitting there like, oh, I don't know.
I think Norm wants the ball in those situations. I just think it's not, the play call's not for him. I think Norm would be aggressive in those situations, and he has shown at times to be. Whether he scores in those situations or not is different. But, obviously in the games where we didn't have Dame or CJ, he kind of struggled in that role a little bit, but at least I can't say that he wasn't trying to at least take over the game at points. I mean, he might have been inefficient in those matchups where he was the number one, but I think he was actually trying to do what you're saying. So it's not a case of I think he's shying away from the moment or anything. I just think when Dame or CJ or both of them are playing, that's not what he's being asked to do.
Yeah, I mean, whether we agree or not on the details of it, I think the bigger problem here is that this team has a mental problem that goes beyond the responsibilities of the coach.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely... Yeah, I mean, something's wrong. I don't know. They just seem like they're in quicksand way too much.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard. Like here, like I don't want to speak for you, Eric, but I feel like we usually, for the most part, think about basketball the same way, where we base our analysis based on things we can see, right? So it's like it's weird to come to the point where we're like I'm speculating on, oh, this is mental, and I like don't know exactly what it is, because when I'm breaking down basketball, I know this is happening on the floor, like this player's in this spot, this player's in that spot. But when it comes to talking about the mentality of the team, it's a lot of it is just speculation. You know what I mean? It's more subjective. And it sucks that that's the position we're in, where, like, I feel like you can watch this team and you know there's something off mentally. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Like, I can speculate as to what, but I don't know. I don't know what is wrong mentally with this team, but I think you can see it. I think you can feel that there's something mentally wrong with this team, but I don't know, man. It's I don't know. Go ahead. What
do you think of this? So we know Dame struggled this year, right? Mm-hmm. He hasn't been hitting those dagger threes like that step back that I talked about would have been, right? We would have won the game if he makes that. So in Norm's position, or maybe not even Norm, let's just say the whole team in general, if they're constantly relying on Dame, and you admit that the offense down the stretch was terrible, right? The movement, the stagnation, mm-hmm. all that stuff was horrible, right? So if I'm a player and I know this doesn't work from 9 years or however long you've been on the team with Terry Stotts, unless Dame makes those shots, which he can absolutely do, but this year in particular he has not. And then you're going into like timeouts or into the third quarter, and the game plan is Dame's going to stay in and we're going to run pick and roll the whole fourth quarter or whatever they're being told. I mean, that's got to be a little frustrating to me too. So a little bit of that is if they were running plays and running things and people were shying away like you think they are, or there was a mental problem there, I would 100% agree with you that it's just like a mental problem that can't be coached.
Yeah.
But until I actually see them run a play for Anthony Simons when he's hit a couple in a row, or run a play from Norm to see if we can get him going, or he goes through like 5 or 6 plays in a row where he doesn't even touch the ball, and then you expect him to be like, okay, let me take over once he touches it the next time.
Yeah, see, like, I don't disagree with that, but I don't think it's 100% Chauncey just saying, we're just going to run pick and roll every time. Like, I feel like he might be trying to run a couple things, but every time they run something, they don't run it well, and it just ends up in a pick and roll anyway.
Yeah.
So at that point, he's just not going to call stuff because they're not executing it.
Well, I mean, if it's an execution problem, that's not mental. I mean, it could be mental, I guess, but to me, I don't know. Because, honestly, I thought in the second half of this game, the times Nurk got the ball in the paint, he tried to go up strong. He had some good moves. He had some good finishes. He got to the line. He got some fouls on Ayton and McGee. So I thought, like, he was being aggressive when he got the ball in position to do that. Now, he doesn't make them all the time, but he was, 7 for 11 tonight with 1 3-pointer miss, so 7 of 10 inside the arc. I don't know. I just feel like that's also when Dame plays 29 straight minutes and he's trying to run the offense for that whole time too. I feel like there should be some times where we're like, okay, Dame, you be the guy standing in the corner and spacing the floor this play, and I don't really see that at all, or I don't see him being used off ball like we've wanted him to be in those situations as well, and when it's not working out for him to get good shots on ball.
Yeah, I mean, Chauncey's definitely struggling, and it sucks because, like, nothing could happen this season that'll make me say, oh, we should have kept Stotts. Never, like, not even close. Right. You know what I mean? Nothing will happen where it's like, oh, firing Stotts was the wrong move. You know? Like, this is kind of the stuff we did under Stotts, but, like, Dame was better and bailed it out a ton. And he bailed it out a ton last year. And Chauncey hasn't had that luxury so far this season. And I don't think it's anything that Chauncey's doing, because honestly, the way we're doing things offensively down the stretch looks exactly the same as last year. So it's a situation where, I think Chauncey would look better if he had the Dame that Stotts had, but like Chauncey came in and
for sure.
Chauncey came in and said, like, everything that he said I liked. I want to move the ball more. I want to utilize Nurkic more, especially as a playmaker. We're going to play aggressive, but we're going to, switch things up depending on how the situation calls for it. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that he wanted to do a lot of the stuff that, I said I wanted to do, right? He has not even come close to getting that implemented. And it just, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. Because if he said he wants to do all that, why isn't he trying to do all that? I feel like it's a situation where there is something that we don't know. Like, because it doesn't add up why he would say he wants to do all that and then abandon it early or just not even try.
Well, to your point, I think 28 games into the season, you should at least start to be seeing like a majority of the time consistency. I mean, you're still going to have times where it's not perfect, but I don't feel like at any point you could say, oh, look, we're getting better at this right now, or we're like our game plans have been better, or our movement on offense has been better this whole game, or whatever. Like, at times it still looks fine because I see it working. But, I mean, this is all stuff that if it was easy as just wanting it to happen, like every coach would do it. So it's probably a case where he's just struggling to get his philosophies and his way of thinking to translate onto the court. And I think you can see it more with the young players and the energy guys. They seem to be doing their role fine at times, but the veterans are just having a tough time with it. And yeah, I mean, so before I get to my point, let me get caught up on those two donos we missed.
We only missed. Oh, did you have the ones at the start?
Yeah, so
cool.
Ads had a donation. He asked, without CJ, why is Dennis Smith Jr. not getting any minutes?
Yeah. You can go.
I was just to say, well, when Dame came back and Dennis Smith Jr. played a little bit last game and then got pulled after 3 minutes, I mean, obviously Dame needed a rest tonight, but also, I don't know. I wouldn't mind Smith getting a chance in games, but he also doesn't space the floor, and I don't know. I'm not like mad when he doesn't play either. But yeah, I can see why people would want to give him a chance in a game. But I mean, our defense overall was decent tonight. At times it was horrible. First quarter was pretty bad, but after the first quarter, we kind of settled down and played a pretty good defensive game until overtime, maybe. But yeah, I thought overall the defense was fine, so it wasn't a case of needing him out there as much as we would in some of the games where we're giving up more points, or teams are just having their way with us. So I don't know. I see both sides of it.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Smith Jr. would have made the offensive issues that we had down the stretch even worse. Obviously, maybe don't play him down the stretch, but I mean, Tony Snell hit a couple threes, which was good. Mixed bag defensively, I think, but we were +9 with him in. Part of that was we went on that run where he made those 2 threes. McLemore only played 4 minutes, and we didn't shoot well tonight, so, you know, if McLemore could have made some shots and played more, coming off a game where he's 5 for 6 from 3, that could have helped us. You know, Dennis Smith Jr. ain't going to make shots like that, so I don't have a problem with not playing Dennis Smith Jr. We only ran an 8-man rotation tonight, basically.
Great play, that one where Ant found McLemore on a dive and he missed a layup. And then I think he only shot 1 3 tonight and hit nothing but backboard. So
yeah.
Not the best night for McLemore. And then the other donation was Shaggy Squid. He said, stay optimistic. We almost beat the 1 seed tonight. It was a good game, lost due to free throws. To be honest, stay positive. If we weren't in a slump, this would have been a good game.
They were without Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton was sick. They were on the second night of a back-to-back. They were without Frank Kaminsky, who had 31 on us last game. This was not the 1-seeded Suns. If this was a fully healthy Suns team, then maybe it's a little bit easier to handle, but we've lost 9 out of 10. At some point, even moral victories don't matter because you can't keep losing games. You can't end up 12 to 15 games under 500. You just can't. You gotta win some basketball games. And we got the Grizzlies up next. Second night of back-to-back. Dame played 47 minutes tonight. They've played really well without John Morant. Dame might get rested tomorrow because it's the second night of a back-to-back. I could easily see 11 and 18. It's not a situation, I don't know. I appreciate some positivity. And yes, we were without CJ, which is funny to hear Shaggy Squid say that CJ counters Booker because Shaggy Squid has been pretty critical of CJ in the past, but I am at the point where moral victories don't matter. If we're like 500, okay, sure, but it's at a point where we gotta start winning games, and it's not a moral victory if you pretty much have the game won if you just make free throws and then lose it, and that's what happened tonight. So, and then I also thought there were some garbage calls from the refs down the stretch there too, just to add insult to injury.
We'll read Mills Woj's donation then.
Shout out Mills Woj, $10 dono. He says, what do you think of the two bad calls? The one at the end of regulation where Dame got fouled and the one where it looked like Payne went out of bounds clean. The one where Dame got fouled, I mean, I think he got fouled. I think he got hit on the arm and tripped up.
They're just not going to call it, yeah.
But they're not going to call that. I think before that, Chris Paul blatantly pushed off on Robert Covington on that shot that tied the game, and they didn't call that. But then the Norm one on campaign, dude, was so bad. And then they review it and still don't overturn it. Like, that's the thing is with judgment calls like that, normally they'll just be like, nah, it stands. Even if it looks soft as hell. Norm barely touched him, right? Like, Dame driving doesn't get the call, in crunch time, but then Norm just stands basically next to Campaign, and Campaign just falls, right? And they call that foul. The only reason they called that is because they were expecting the Blazers to foul. If that happened in the middle of the third quarter, they don't call that. That's not getting called. And that type of stuff pisses me off because it's just referees being robotic. It's, they need to foul, so, he fell, okay, foul. That's what it was. It was terrible. It was terrible. Pissed me off, man. Like, even the Suns guys were saying that they didn't think that was a foul. So, yeah.
I mean, in that case, it's an anticipation foul, and
robotic.
I mean, you gotta, if you put your hands on someone, you gotta call it, I guess. But
he didn't even put his, like, he didn't.
He did have to put both hands on him, and that the refs in those situations.
What about Crowder on Dame then? Then called Crowder on Dame, because Crowder did the same thing. He put his hand on Dame.
I thought there was some worse calls in the first half. Like Norm drove once and gets knocked to the ground. Nurk got knocked to the ground on one, and yeah.
Yep. Appreciate the $10 dono, Mills Woj. Shout out Kyle Neely, member for 2 months, says, opinion on not calling a timeout with 7 seconds left. You guys are having really good messages in the donos and the channel members, or channel membership messages. See, like, when we don't call a timeout and it doesn't work, we're always like, we should call a timeout. And then when we do call a timeout and it doesn't work, we're like, we should just played it out. You know what I mean? So obviously hindsight's 20/20, but I probably would have called a timeout, then put out a lineup of Dame, Simons, Norm, Snell, and take your pick of like a shooter like Macklemore or, maybe a Nurkic, right? But we just isolate Dame anyway end of game, so just get 4 shooters out there. Maybe it's Rocco or whoever. Get 4 shooters out there to give him maximum spacing so that if he drives and they help, you can kick out to a shooter. I mean, Tony Snell hit a buzzer-beating 3 last year. He had a couple threes in the second half. Put him on the floor for spacing. Wouldn't have minded that. Wouldn't have complained about that. Like, that's the one thing Snell does is make some threes, pretty much. So, I feel like we should have. But, obviously hindsight's 20/20. What do you think, Eric?
I agree with you. I think you're always going to second guess if it doesn't work, and you're always going to say it was the right thing if it does. I kind of like pushing it there. The problem is, I don't think Dame is a good pusher if we don't need a 3. And we saw that at I forgot what quarter it was. It was either the first or second quarter where I think it was second quarter, where we had like 7 seconds and he just dribbles around and then stops at the 3-point line and then shoots a contested flat-footed 3-pointer that had no chance. It's like attacking those situations. I know we got fouled, but like just attack the rim in those situations. There's plenty of time. It's not like 3 seconds and you have to shoot a 3-pointer, but yeah, I felt like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with the timeout or no timeout or anything like that.
Yep.
And we've had a couple of 5-second calls. One in this game. We had one a couple games ago in a clutch situation too. So we have trouble like inbounding the ball sometimes too. So
yeah, I agree with that. Let me just have a quick message for chat. All right, if you insult us, we will put you in a 5-minute timeout. All right. having a difference of opinion and insulting us are two different things, all right? So if you call us delusional, that's an insult. If you just disagree with us, that's completely fine. A lot of people disagreed with my take on Norman Powell, right? Completely fine with that. I'm cool with that. When me and Eric disagree, there's going to be half the chat or maybe more people, more than half the chat disagreeing with me. I don't know. And vice versa for Eric. So no problem with you disagreeing with us, but if you call us delusional, you will get a 5-minute ban, and I will politely ask you to not do that, or I will say next time you do that, it's going to be a permanent ban. Don't insult us. So if you do it again, and then act like, oh, it's just about a difference of opinion, you guys are going to ban somebody just for speaking their mind, and you're not speaking your mind if you insult us. So if you want to speak your mind without insulting us, completely fine. Say whatever you want. But if you insult us, we're going to take issue with that. That's how it goes. That's all I want to say on that.
The correct response is, oh, my bad. I will leave that part out next time. Here is my opinion. And then we can respond to you and have a nice discussion.
Instead, he doubled down and called us pathetic.
Yeah,
so
right. The wrong way is to handle it that way.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just frustrating, man, because people will, come here and insult us, and then if we have a problem with them insulting us, they'll make it out like, oh, you guys just don't accept other opinions, and it's frustrating. So, just wanted to touch upon that real quick. Shout out to Clearly a Bot. $5 dono says, refs or coaching, which is worse tonight for you guys? Dude sitting behind me yelling that Billups sucks. Also, we started bad on threes and turned it around.
I think we're 3 for 20 on threes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everything was bad tonight. It's hard to, I guess coaching, but, I mean, the refs were bad too, I thought, down the stretch. If we are coached a little better, we win. If the refs aren't as bad, we win. If we make our freaking free throws, we win. So...
I don't like when it's called differently for different players.
Yes.
I like when... That's the only thing I'll say about the refs, because I felt like they were letting a lot of contact go on both sides, but then Chris Paul does a rip through and Covington doesn't even really touch him, and that's an automatic foul. But there was way worse contact on both ends, several plays back and forth in the minutes leading up to that. It's just, it's just. So the refs are frustrating when they do that, but overall, I don't think the refs are the reason they cost this game, so I would say coaching was worse in my opinion tonight.
Yeah. As far as starting, I mean, it was nice to make some threes, but we still didn't shoot good from threes. Shout out to Annie for becoming a starter member. Appreciate you. Annie, let's jump into the team stats. Well, let me make sure I get the team stats in. Actually... I like starting off showing the team stats from last game, just so you can compare and contrast. Okay, these were our team stats last game. Let's look at our team stats for this game. We still didn't shoot well from three. We ended better, but still 32%. And this is a situation where we miss having CJ being able to knock down some threes. We miss CJ offensively, and he became the scapegoat for people. But even when he has bad shooting nights, at least he's able to, knock down a couple shots and take the pressure and pressure off a Norm. You know what I mean? Because, if somebody needs to step up and make a play, I trust CJ more than I do Norm. And then, if a team has two really good defenders, they're probably going to be up against Dame and CJ, leaving Norm to pick on whoever's left. So, I just think offensively, especially when things have bogged down and we've needed somebody to kind of create something out of nothing, which, we got to do a better job of not being put in that situation, and that's obviously Chauncey has a huge responsibility in that, but in those situations it hurts not having a guy like CJ, and the shooting numbers are not good. And then the free throw number, Eric.
Yeah, I think it was it 5 for 10 or 6 for 12 after Norm's free throws in the fourth quarter. Not how you get it done in a close game.
I feel like we've been slumping from the free throw line lately.
Yeah, definitely not as good as we have been the last couple of years.
That's the thing when you look at this, turnovers even. Assists, they had more, but they made 4 more shots, I guess. We got to the line a little bit more. Fast break points, we did not get out on the break. And that's the thing is, I want to see us, when things bog down in crunch time, I feel like we don't even try and run either. Like, we don't get into anything quick. We just slow it down so much and just walk the ball up the court. Like, even the last play when we were down 4 and had 9 seconds left, Dame almost walked the ball up the court.
Yep.
So, yeah, 7 fast break points would have been nice to get out and run.
Well, and the 19 fast break points, the problem is when you're missing your threes, those usually lead to long rebounds and they're pushing the ball. And also, they had 11 turnovers in the first half, so only 3 in the second half. I think we had 9 in the first half, so only 5. So that's pretty good taking care of the ball in the second half. But one of those was a killer where we were up like 6 and had the ball a couple times, but Dame got the ball stripped and Chris Paul, I forgot what happened the other way, but I think they might have hit a 3 or Chris Paul got a bucket or something and kept it close. Or once again, we have a chance to kind of just make it tough on them, and we turn the ball over. We've done that so many times this year.
Yeah, and here's the thing on Dame walking the ball up the court. There's 2 problems with this game. One is Dame has the habit of walking the ball up the court. He needs to push the pace more in those situations. That's on him. The second issue is he played the entire second half in overtime. So he probably didn't want to try and run when he got the ball in his hands, So that's why you got to give him a little bit of rest so he has a little bit more energy in the game so that, he might want to run more. So that's the 2 parts of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the team stats. Anything in chat you want to talk about while I get the player cards in here?
Bright's breakdown is in there too.
Oh yeah, we gotta do your Bright. Yeah. Last stream had me forgetting about that. How could I forget?
Shout out to BC. Thank you for the $2 donation. They say 273 people watching, only 58 likes. Come on, Rip City.
Yeah, that's the easiest way you can show us support is hitting that like button. So we never even ask for likes. So just make it easy on us and just like it anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say never, but we don't.
Well, we ask for it when people tell us to ask for it. Or Gabe will always come in chat and say hit the like. We get we'll get donation messages telling us. Or telling people to hit the like button, so we appreciate the assist on that. Anthony Swafford, $5 donor. You want to read this one off, Eric?
Yeah, CJ's absence is making me realize he takes too much blame. What do you think about our team issues? Can they be contributed to a few guys?
Go ahead.
I still think this is a team issue, and this is tough for me because I still feel like this team could be good with being healthy and playing the right way and all that kind of stuff. But I think, they've given the Dame and CJ experiment enough time. So while I do agree that he takes too much blame and that I don't think he's been appreciated as much as he should be, we always talk about Dame's loyalty. CJ's been loyal as well, and I know we paid him well, but he could have wanted to play, at home or left to a contender too. Like we always talk about that with Dame. But I think CJ deserves a little bit of credit for that, and I feel like he has done a lot for this team, and he's not the most athletic player, but he's improved his ball handling, and I don't know. I feel like his intentions are right, but at the same time, I feel like he's the best way to just change things up and mix it up. So if you have this team tonight, but with a piece or 2 that come back in a CJ trade on top of that, then maybe you're looking at something. Maybe if one of those pieces is a defender or whatever, then maybe you win this game with defense tonight or something, and you don't necessarily need CJ's offense. But we're also at a point where we had 30 points 6 minutes into the second quarter. So this is a case where we hold them to 49 points in the first half. It wasn't like terrible, and that was after giving up 30 in the first quarter. So our problem, believe it or not, lately, I mean, we held the Warriors down pretty well. The Clippers didn't score a ton of points on us in those games that Dame and CJ both missed. But the problem is we're not scoring enough. So I do see both sides of it. We do need CJ to score. But I also think overall, I'm fine with using him as a means to improve the roster as well.
Yeah, I mean, you summed that up pretty well. But like this, I did not mean to. I did not mean to put that in. What am I looking at here? If we got Ben Simmons, I feel like a lot of the offensive struggles that we've seen would still play out because he's not really a shooter. And, Dame, I still think Dame could be better off the ball if we embraced it more and he had more time to get used to it. But, Dame kind of down the stretch wants the ball in his hands and everybody looks to get Dame the ball. So that's one of the question marks with the Ben Simmons for CJ trade is obviously our defense would be better, but like, how does it look offensively? How does it work offensively? And everybody's like, oh, if you just have Dame and Norm, like it's going to be a good offense no matter what. But I don't think that's the case. And like a game like tonight, I feel like shows that.
Here's my problem. I'm totally fine with Dame with the ball down the stretch. But it can't be after he's played 20 straight minutes or whatever, And that's the problem is the whole second half it was that way. So think of that mental and physical fatigue by the end of this game where, I mean, Dame is a great player, so he can still make plays. There was a stat that he has, out of all the shot creators in the NBA, he has the most impact offensively this year. And that's with him being completely terrible shooting stats and all that stuff. He still impacts the game in a way that no one else does offensively. I just wish we used that more to generate an offense and not have to rely on him to do that when he's obviously not in the best conditioning after resting for 10 days, getting a cortisone injection, and then having to play this many minutes in his second game back. It's just crazy to me. And then we have a game tomorrow night. It's like either do it and get him some rest throughout the game so he's fresh enough to do it in those situations, or don't let him do it if you're going to play him the whole game. Like give him some time where he plays off ball so he doesn't have to try and create off the dribble every single play and every single time. Because that, man, I get tired doing it after like 4 or 5 plays. I can't imagine doing it in an NBA game for a whole half. Like basically you having to create offense for your team every time down the court.
Yeah, it's a problem. Let's jump into Brant's breakdowns. I'm ready to go for that. Play number 1. What do we got here, Eric?
So just wanted to show a good, this is just a basic horns play. Horns is when you have the two, the power forward in the center, basically at the elbows of the free throw line. Nurkic is going to get a pass here from I don't remember who the point guard is. I think it's
we'll probably see on the next
but anyways, he's going to get the ball. He's going to turn to the corner and hand the ball off to Norm. Now, Norm is going to curl off this and get around the free throw line. And they're in perfect position on the next. Norm's coming off the handoff here. And then on the next slide, perfect opportunity here. We got Ayton coming up to meet Powell. Nurkic is rolling wide open. Now, how many times have I talked about this year? What do our guards always do when they pass to Nurkic?
It's always low.
It's always low, and it's almost always a bounce pass, right? So all Norm has to do right now is lob this anywhere near the right side of the backboard or the rim, and it's an easy 2 for Nurkic, right?
Yep.
Ayton can't recover. Crowder's not going to get there in time. Nurkic can just catch it, and he's rolling to the basket. All his momentum's going there. If he just puts it up near the backboard, Nurk can catch it and lay it in or dunk it easy. But as we go to the next slide, For some reason, he decides to throw a bounce pass, and he throws it late.
Mm-hmm.
And Crowder has enough time to kind of mess with it. It ends up going out of bounds. And in the last slide, we see that Nurk is actually pointing up, like he wanted that pass up, like he has a lay-in or a dunk if you throw that up, and he's kind of mad.
He should be.
Yeah. And this is just an example, so everyone says, like, oh, Nurk can't catch the ball, or Nurk can't finish, or whatever. But, like, if our guards just help him out a little bit, we don't get those easy baskets. And if this was Ayton or Kaminsky or any number of bigs in the NBA on other teams, how many times would we see a dunk or a lob in that situation and an easy basket, and then we're like, oh, Nurkic can't play defense, oh, Ayton sucks, he couldn't even guard Nurkic on that play. Like, I heard that the other way around. Yeah. I'm just, it's driving me crazy that we have a play set up like it's perfect. We have Nurk with separation, no one around him between him and the hoop. All it takes is a simple pass, and Norm throws it late and low, and for no reason. All he has to do, or if he passes it right here, just throw a chest pass right to his midsection, and he catches it on the run and lays it in. It's just frustrating watching these guards continually putting Nurk in a bad position when he's that open.
Yeah, because that's the thing is lob this, but also if he just throws it on time, it's probably fine. He throws it late too, so like Crowder's back in the play. 2 points I want to make with this is, one, if that's CJ, I think that's a dunk. I don't think CJ throws the lob. I just think he throws the pass sooner, and it's still probably fine. It's not. Here's the thing, though, is like even if you throw the pass sooner, it's not as likely to get through as if you just throw a lob. It's the easiest option, and we don't do it. Like if this is what happens here, if that's Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton or Chris Paul and JaVale McGee, it's a dunk. It's an alley-oop. It's an easy dunk. And we're like, what in the world is with our defense? But when it's us, for some reason, it's extra difficult. And this, I'm glad you showed this play, because this was the play where it's like, dude, Norm as a passer, man, is not, like, he likes dump-offs when he gets low and kick-out passes, right? Like, where he can drive all the way into the paint and lay it off for somebody or kick it out when he doesn't have the layup. Passes outside of that, he's not good, especially for a two-guard. So, and this is an example of one of those situations.
Yep. So that was just an offensive play that I wanted to show.
Yeah. Another point I want to make with this, sorry, I forgot to make my other point. It doesn't even have to be a big here. Without as much separation as Nurkic has, dude, it could be somebody who's 6'4" and a freaking YouTuber and it's probably a layup. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? He has so much separation here. He just throw it up around the rim. All he has to do is just go and catch it and lay it in. Like, there's so much separation. It doesn't even have to be a 7-footer. It could be somebody that's 6 feet tall. It could be Dame. It could be Dennis Smith Jr. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
And it's a layup at least. So that's what's frustrating is there's so much separation here. Just make the easy read. You're an NBA player, but Norm struggles with that. So go ahead.
All right, and then the last two plays are defensive things.
Let me get those next play in there.
This is something that drove me absolutely bonkers in this game. For some reason, much of the fourth quarter, we had Rocco guarding Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. And with how bad our pick and roll defense had been, the rotations, the rim, the weak side help with Ayton rolling on these screens. Why do we have this set up right now where our three smallest players are going to have to be the one defending Ayton if he catches the ball in the paint off a roll?
Yeah.
And we did this it was like a 5-minute stretch where we had this strategy. And if Rocco's in the game and Chris Paul and Ayton are in the game, he has to play one of the other players. He cannot be on Chris Paul because he has to be the help man for Nurk. Mm-hmm. We saw him have in the first half a really nice block shot on help after Nurk kind of played over the top and forced them to lob it over him. They got the pass through, and Rocco comes over and gets a block, right?
Yeah.
And this is the problem. See, so people think our pick and roll defense is the problem, right? Because Paul and Ayton just ate it up. But this play is doomed, and I could have taken a picture of like 10 of these plays where if Ayton gets the ball, none of those help defenders are stopping him. With the exception of if they met him right at the time he caught the pass, if it was like 10 feet from the hoop. But we're never fast enough on our rotations to do that. Anyway, and Ayton's got good touch, so he could probably make those anyway. But so as we go to the next slide.
Well, first off, let me just say in this situation, just to add on to this setup, in this situation, Nurkic shouldn't be aggressive.
Right.
Because here's the problem is, well, here's the good thing, and then I'll say the problem. The good thing is Rocco can stay in front of Chris Paul here. The screen is like 10 feet away from Chris Paul. So you can easily go over it, and you still have 9 feet of space to stay in front of him. So,
but on this play, Rocco walks right into Ayton and gets picked. And
I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
I know.
And we'll see that. But, like, the other thing is if Nurkic plays aggressively and Rocco plays aggressively and they go after Paul, they have so much ground to make up that Paul has the time with no pressure on him to make the pass to Ayton. So when the screen is that far away from the ball handler, you can't play aggressively on it. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to add that part to it. Anyway.
And, I mean, we've talked about this for years, but you can't switch on Chris Paul, so it's a bad idea to do that anyway. Mm-hmm. And we saw that multiple times today, him just eating that apart. So, this is when I say, like, it's like a coaching thing, because it's a decision to put Rocco on there. It wasn't like he just got mismatched one play. It was like time and time again, and I'm just sitting there, what are you doing? Like, we have no rim protection now because our two bigs are involved in every single pick and roll, and that's smart of Phoenix to just exploit that all day. But this is not Nurk or Rocco's fault if they're not the ones like calling for this matchup. So if you go to the next slide. So Rocco ends up getting picked, but he does a good job of...
Yeah, we actually didn't play aggressive on this one, but there was other ones like that where we did, and it was a problem. Go ahead.
Instead of just switching, Rocco actually taps Nurk and runs back out at Chris Paul. Chris Paul can hit a three, but you don't really have to like beat up on him aggressively. So we do actually do a good job of switching on this particular play. So as we go to the next slide, we're going to... Chris Paul's going to get the ball back and then run another pick and roll. And Covington actually, it's hard to stay in front of CP3, but he's in a position here where he's got to try to stay in front of him. But Chris Paul's going to drive baseline. Nurk's going to recover back to Ayton. You can see Simons. Now, in this situation, Simons is way too low.
Yeah.
And he needs to either be right on Ayton's hip, or he needs to recognize that Nurkic is fine and get out of there. And then Norm should be the guy where Simons is right now. And Simons needs to get out of there once Nurk recovers to Ayton. So as we see the next slide, Chris Paul's going to drive. He doesn't end up shooting it, so he goes baseline. And so Simons comes down. Norm comes down too far. Chris Paul throws it out to Cam Johnson in the corner. Cam Johnson catches it, passes up to Cameron Payne. So instead of Simons recovering at this point, he stays down in the paint too long, and Cam Johnson has a 3-point shot with no one within 10 feet of him.
Mm-hmm. Or go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can finish.
Anthony needs to rotate out faster. Okay. Yeah. The problem with this is he started running at the corner and then curled up. He has to start running right out to campaign. I don't know why he started running to the corner.
Yeah.
Also, in this situation, I would just say, like for Simons, realize that Nurkic is in the play enough to be the help guy.
Yep.
And Rocco on Chris Paul, as long as Rocco stays with them, has a good chance of like blocking the shot and whatnot. So for Anthony Simons in that situation, he's probably not going to make a difference, and he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, Nurkic is in front of Paul there on that kickout pass. Like, Paul wasn't able to get to the rim. Nurkic was there. Rocco was there. So he shouldn't be this deep into the paint anyway. And he should have, like, while Paul was driving, he should have been actually starting to ebb out.
Right.
Now, on this situation, anytime somebody drives and then kicks, you want to do the same thing. So, Norm takes first pass, Simons takes second pass. But, like, that's the thing, is if Simons was further out here and starts running out to campaign at this point and say he was, a little bit closer already, he gets out to the shot in time. Instead, he's 15 feet away.
Yeah. And Reese asks, is he supposed to tag the roller? Yeah, he probably was supposed to tag him, but a tag just means tag him and then get out. It doesn't mean switch to him or stay with him the whole time, or then stay in that spot or move it down even further, lower than Ayton. So that's what the problem was.
Yeah. A tag is just to buy your big man time to get back to the big. At this point, you don't need to tag the big anymore.
Yeah. Right?
Like, if Nurkic was higher and Ayton would have, like, a wide open dunk, then, yeah, you got to get in there and, like, try and get your hand on a pass, try and, you got to tag the big there. But once Nurkic is back within an arm's length reach of him right here, your help responsibility is no longer needed. So you got to be ready to cover the kickouts. And he wasn't. He hung around there until almost the second pass was being made.
And the other thing is, if Norm sees Simons there, he can't sag off. He should have just stayed, denied Cam Johnson the ball. And I don't know if Chris Paul, I mean, he's a great passer, but that's a really tough pass to get the ball to Cam Johnson from that angle. So if we are going to be out of position, Norm can't also compound it by not denying the pass there and giving Chris Paul an angle to even throw that ball.
Yeah,
because if he's in position there, there's no chance Chris Paul's making that pass.
I will say this. I think, here's the thing, and we don't do this enough, and I talked about it against Golden State. When shooters relocate, it causes problems. Because I think Norm, like where Cam Payne is right now, Chris Paul, once he drives and gets under the backboard, would have an easier angle on a kick-out pass to Cam Payne where he is right now. So Norm, I don't think, sees him relocate up into a position where I don't think Chris Paul could have made this pass initially. I think, he tried to split the difference because he thought they were both options. Yeah. And then Cam Payne relocating makes this run even further for Simons. Yeah. And I don't think Simons realized he relocated. That's why he started running out towards the corner. So that's why relocation is good.
Yeah. So, and there was a play a little bit before this where we were so messed up in our rotations. There was two guys like flying to every closeout, but I liked it because at least they were flying. They were flying out, right? They were trying, like they were messing up, but they were recovering well. And then the closeouts by both guys were good, right? Even though shouldn't be two of them there, at least they closed out and stopped it. And we ended up getting a stop on that possession, I think, even though we almost gave up like 8 open 3-pointers. But at least they were trying to run around and do the right thing, and I applauded the effort on it. But like this is just, this is one of those like mental mistakes where you just hang around too long and get caught in the wrong position, and I mean, this is a big play in the game with under 3 minutes left.
Yep. Anyway, let's go on to play number 3.
And this is the play of the game. Now, we obviously got burnt by pick and roll this entire game, so it's easy to fall asleep on the backside. But we have a play where Chris Paul, and this time he's being guarded by Norm, who, other than the times where I was saying Rocco was guarding him, we actually, towards the end, we started switching off and doing more with Norm on him. And if Norm would just fight through the screens better, it was probably okay. But on this play, they're of course gonna overload one side of the court.
Look at that. That's what teams do to deal with aggressive pick and roll defense. They run side pick and roll and put the 3 off-ball guys on one side of the court. We saw it at Golden State. We see it here.
Yep. And so what Portland would do is one of those two guys would be on this near side, like down in the corner, and it would allow whoever's guarding him to be in a position to help and make it so Dame couldn't drive or the roll man wasn't open or whatever. So as we roll, we obviously know overtime, tie ball game, Chris Paul is going to run pick and roll with Ayton. That's just what they're going to do. So we actually defend it well. Chris Paul gives up his dribble and passes over to Jay Crowder.
This is what Utah does. I'm starting to recognize patterns. This is what Utah did to us.
Okay, so real quick. So Dame is guarding Campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simons is guarding Cam Johnson. Now, this is a situation you would think, okay, Dame can guard both of them, right?
Yeah.
And Simons can be in help position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right here, we're okay, right?
Yes.
Now, I don't know. I kind of would want, like, Rocco doesn't need to come off of Crowder here. If he denies Crowder the ball, where is Chris Paul going to pass to?
Mm-hmm.
We might have a chance of getting a steal or something because he has no reason to be helping in this situation because if Simons is the help guy.
1,000%. Yep.
I would like more, now that we're being aggressive, it doesn't matter if we're just leaving a guy wide open one pass away where we don't have a chance of getting a steal out of it because they have to do anything. But so they're going to pass over to Crowder. And now I want you guys to watch what happens with Dame and Ant here. So Crowder's going to get the ball. Campaign says, oh, Dame's guarding me. Simons is out of position. Let me just set a pick on Dame. Simons has no chance to recover. And in this situation, Dame cannot get picked. He has to take the top side. If Simons is the help guy, Dame has to take the top guy. So he gets caught not noticing that. And Campaign sets a great pick. Simons has no chance to recover. They swing to Cam Johnson. And look at this. Tie game, 3 minutes left. They get an open three-pointer that's not even close to being contested. No chance of getting there. And one guy basically takes out two people with one simple screen. And it's just simple positioning. And, we did another bad job on it. And that's ball game, most likely.
Yep. And this is just good impromptu basketball by Phoenix. This is what we don't do enough. Is just like recognize the situation and, freelance, right? Because and I'm sure Monty Williams coaches them like, all right, if we get trapped and we can swing it to Crowder in this position when we're overloaded like this, look to set the screen. Right? It's just situational basketball, right? It's not a set play, but it's like structured freelance where you're looking for certain things depending on how the court is laid out. And the problem is we don't do these things. We don't do these things at all, I would love for this to be CJ. Now, if we did these things, teams would probably guard it better than this. It's just like in this situation, let me go back to this. Dame is lower than Campaign, right? Because Simons is there to help in case Chris Paul drives or in case Ayton's able to catch the pass behind both the pick and roll defenders. Simons is the help guy, right? Dame is supposed to split Campaign and Cam Johnson and take the first pass out, and then Simons takes the second pass out. Simple basketball. We do it like it's something that we have to do multiple times a game, and we've talked about it multiple times in multiple streams. Dame should just be between Cam Johnson and Campaign, and if you're splitting the difference, how do you get screened off? You know what I mean? Because you should be under Campaign enough that if he tries to screen you, you just slip under it, right?
And if you're guarding Campaign here, and you see a guy in the corner and there, you have to get the top. You have to get the top guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ant Campaign is no longer your guy, but you just stayed with him the whole time. So if Ant's on the help, but Ant did a bad job of, as soon as this pass goes, he needs to recover too, and he was slow on getting back into the play as well.
He has no chance of getting out on this, though.
Yeah.
So that's just lack of awareness, man. And that's the thing. I don't understand why this is still so prevalent because it's basic basketball situations. And that's where I thought there was going to be defensive improvement. With situations like this, we would clean up, right? obviously limited a bit by a lack of size, and Dame and CJ aren't going to be all defensive team or anything, but clean up just the silly mistakes, become more aware defensively, and they have a lot of room for improvement because they make silly mistakes like this all game. And that's where, people say, well, see, this season proves that Dame and CJ just can't coexist and you can't have a good defense with them, and all sorts of these narratives that I'm sure everyone in chat has heard. But a lot of the stuff we're still doing is stuff that's like, I have no explanation for this. This isn't because Dame is physically incapable. Like, this is a mental mistake. We make so many mental mistakes defensively throughout the course of the game that aren't due to physical traits such as height. So, I mean, maybe it's a situation where these guys just don't have the mental capability to be aware enough defensively, or, just are so lost on that end that they can't get to a good enough place. And in that case, then sure, it's still the roster. And that's where I'm sitting here like, yeah, you got to make moves. It could definitely be the roster, but not necessarily for the same reasons as everybody else says with, oh, it's because of the height, it's because of the three guards, it's because of this type of stuff. No, it's honestly, I see more stuff like this than anything else.
And this play has nothing to do with the fact that Cam Johnson is like 6 inches taller than Dame. It's just he was in the wrong spot. Yep.
So even if Cam Johnson is as tall as Earl Boykins, it's still wide open.
Yeah.
So if he's 5'5", it's still wide open. So that's the problem there. And if Dame is 6'9", it's still wide open. Dame being 6'9" doesn't fix anything here, so that's kind of the issue. Obviously, there will be plays throughout a game where maybe other teams can take advantage of having more height, but people act like, oh, that's the reason, and there's so many mistakes like this that are not height based.
And this is why, I have to preface this every time. Having better defenders obviously makes you a better defense, right? But let's say we trade CJ for Ben Simmons, and he shuts Chris Paul down, and he passes to Jay Crowder, and then Ant and Dave are in the game, and they mess up and give Cam Johnson an open three on this. That's the same thing would happen whether we have the all-time best point of attack defender on Chris Paul in this play or not. If Dame and CJ or Dame and Ant or whoever is in this situation doesn't play it right, we still give up the open three on the backside.
Yep, so great breakdown, as always. Always love looking at this stuff, because now it's at the point where I'm like recognizing patterns and how teams attack our pick and roll defense. So yeah, that's a fun one. That is Brandt's breakdown. You ready to... I don't have the player cards. I got the player cards downloaded here. I'll have the player cards ready in about 20 seconds. So if you want to stall for 20 seconds, feel free.
Yeah, so these are it's frustrating to me because the things like I'm showing are things that you would hope at this point of the season we're starting to be like, oh, Dame recognizes this play. Like you said when you saw it, you recognized it, right?
Yep.
So that's what it is, and that's also my biggest problem with him playing so many minutes in a row, because we're talking about overtime, right? So this 3 minutes left in overtime, or how much was it? So we're at this point, Dave's played 26 straight minutes and had to basically break down the off the dribble on offense every single play of that. So this is the problem. Like, so yeah, you could say like he's not defensive minded or whatever, but if we gave him a break or he wasn't doing so much on offense, would he maybe be a little mentally sharper in that moment to where he doesn't get picked or whatever? So it's hard to understand how much of it is, him missing some games too, him probably not practicing as hard as he needs to because of the ab thing, all that kind of stuff. But like, it's not just Dame. I mean, we broke down some of these plays when Dame was out too. We've broken down them without CJ as well. And I agree. It's Kyle Neely says they're showing elementary school problems, and yeah, that's that's what's so frustrating is I don't understand why a coach can't fix elementary school problems. Like, it should be fixable, and that's why I continue to say it's not like a point of attack problem. It's not a It's not like a height issue. It's that we do make these dumb mistakes constantly throughout a game, and it's so freaking annoying that we can't correct them for some reason.
Yep. I agree, man. I mean, that's why I get frustrated when people, like, people can disagree and have their opinions. I just get frustrated when I, like, bring up basketball reasons and then they want to not argue basketball, but they just want to argue narratives, right? Yeah. Like, a narrative has to be based on something that happens on the court in order to be a solid argument, in my opinion. So if somebody wants to argue it, based on things that happen on the court, I can respect it. I'll, even if I disagree, I might be confident in my disagreement, whatever, but I'll still respect it, obviously, compared to just people that argue narratives, and that's the problem, is a lot of people just argue narratives. I like that we came up with a segment to just show what we talk about it, but now we're showing you guys. So, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on just kind of the argument overall with what is wrong with the defense. Because, I mean, obviously the defense is terrible still. But, yeah, I don't know, Eric. Why can't they fix it? I don't understand. I don't understand. And it's at some point, I don't know. Like, at some point, you have to question the players too, I think. And, that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like, well, bring in a Ben Simmons and see what it fixes and see how much better it is. And, maybe if we had better defensive players, other guys would be more locked in instead of just feeling like, oh, we're going to get scored on anyway.
Yeah.
So that is my thoughts on that. Let's go into the player cards. Dame. What'd you think of Dame tonight, Eric?
I mean, there's stretches where he looked really good. You like his overall point and assist totals. We're going to struggle until he finds a shot. I thought maybe he was starting to find it, and then, yeah.
He hit some threes that were like, oh, those are Dame threes. Dame's back. That looks like Dame, man. And he was shooting okay. He was like 9 for 21, right? He finished 2 for 10. So that says to me he's exhausted because he was out for a while, and then he played the final 29 minutes of the game and played 47 minutes tonight. So, yeah, don't run him into the freaking ground.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy concept, I know. So, anyway.
And then we lose the game anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if we win, you could say, oh, we got 47, or he played 47 minutes, but at least we just needed a win, man. And maybe Chauncey could say that after the game, like, I know it was stupid of me to play Dame, but man, we just needed to feel good about a win, right? Like, maybe you could justify it that way. Mm-hmm. But, like, I mean, you can't play him 47 minutes and lose the game. And you can't continue to put this toll on a guy who is obviously not 100% right now. So, yeah. And his shooting is bad. Obviously, a lot of his shots are short, and too, especially late in games. Like, this guy, just, if you can't get it done with him playing 35 minutes a game, then so what? Like, we can get it done. You don't have to run him into the ground.
Yeah. For this game, obviously 5 minutes of overtime, 41, 42 minutes a game is a lot more acceptable than 47. Right. And it's the fact that he played the entire second half and OT is what I have an issue with. Now, as far as his shot selection, I didn't like some of the shots, but, like, he's not shooting worse shots than he's shot the previous couple years, where he was just insane and shot like 38, 40% from three. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want him to lose confidence. I want him to get back to that. And he's not missing bad. Okay? He's not missing bad. A lot of his misses were close. He had a lot of difficult shots tonight. Part of that is down the stretches. He had to make everything happen. We were not running anything. Everybody was just trying to get him the ball and just hoping he made something happen, even though Phoenix was loading up on him. And, that's very difficult to do. So, that's why if he goes 11 for 31, I'm not going to criticize him as much as, like, if Norm goes 11 for 31, because it's a situation where Dame gets put in a position where he has to carry us offensively, and he's playing a ton ton of minutes, and defenses are going to load up on him more than anybody else. So that's where it comes into play. 10 assists. I mean, he made some plays for others, so it's still offensively. I don't think it was a bad night from him. Just, hope that we can get him higher quality looks, not have to rely on him as much in crunch time, and hopefully his efficiency can go up. Anyway.
Yeah, and I just want to address something that I've seen in chat a lot tonight and for several games. And I guess we have to say it every post game or something. But, you guys, I respect your opinion if you think we should trade Dame. I completely 100% disagree with that, but I respect it.
I don't respect it because it's taking Dame's loyalty and just you've been loyal to us, we won't be loyal to you.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm trying to be respectful, and just on this particular show, save your breath, save your energy typing it out. We will not discuss trades about Damian Lillard. We will not. It's not going to happen. He's not being traded, and quite honestly, he deserves to be here as long as he wants, and we deserve better. And then to treat him that way when he wants to be here. That's period. I don't think there's anything more to say. So just stop. I mean, you guys, there's no reason to come in here in the chat and keep spitting out, we should trade him, get him while his value's good, just get rid of him, full rebuild, whatever. Just stop. I mean, okay, respect it. Totally cool if you want to think that way. I think you're wrong, but just stop it. It's not Laker fans. It's not Laker fans. It's Blazer fans in here. It's people who are in here every stream. Yeah.
I don't know. Sad to me. You know what I mean? What are the odds that trading Dame is going to help us win a championship? Minuscule at best. I would rather reward the one superstar we've had, probably the most talented player we've had in 52 years of our franchise, who's been loyal to this city, to this community. Give him that same respect.
Yep.
And because that's the thing. We're probably not going to win a championship with them. The first rebuild we make after we either traded him or after he retired, we're probably not going to win a championship off that rebuild. So you stick it through, all right? And, if we don't win a championship, at least you can say, oh, Dame spent his entire career here, went down fighting the right way. The organization was loyal to him. He retires a Blazer. If we don't win a championship, that's kind of the next best thing in my opinion. That means something to me. So some Blazer fans, that doesn't mean anything to them, I guess, but that means something to me. So, anyway. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We won't ever talk Dame trades. I personally, if he doesn't ask out, I will never talk about a Dame trade. Ever. So, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Norman Clutch Powell, it's okay, Krish. 23, I mean, we talked a lot about Norm, 5 fouls, 3 turnovers, no assists. One of the turnovers you detailed in your breakdown. He was efficient tonight, but I just wish he was more of a defensive player. Because we talked a lot about him, and I mentioned that I thought his defense was pretty bad down the stretch. I didn't get your take on that, though. We didn't really talk about his defense. What do you think of him defensively down the stretch and over the course of this game?
I thought they did a better job than they did last time we played Phoenix of trying to fight through the picks, but it's still not good enough. It still feels like they're getting screened in situations like you pointed out, the one with the Rocco one, where he could easily get around it and stay in front of Chris Paul, and the screen would never even be an issue. And I feel it's just frustrating to me to watch guys who should be capable. I've seen them capable of doing it and not doing it. But I don't know. He was okay defensively, but not good either. Yeah.
I felt like there was a couple of possessions he was lazy down the stretch, man. I've been watching him more in terms of his effort. Mm-hmm. Because when he's lazy,
you've got
it
like
doesn't.
A Norm agenda.
When he's lazy, it doesn't stand out as much as maybe some other players, unless you're looking for it. There will be possessions where I feel like he'll be lazy and like not fight through a screen and then end up way behind, but then he'll hustle to try and get back in the play, but they'll still score because he was lazy in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, there's a couple screens he like went through where he just kind of like took 2 steps back and just like lazily walked through and then tried to catch up into the play. It's like, I don't know. He just has moments where his motor quits, I feel like, defensively. And then I don't know. He's just like very inconsistent with his energy on that end of the floor. Is basically the best way I can describe it. That's just the feeling I get watching him. I advise you guys, whether you agree with me or disagree with me on that, to really pay attention to Norm defensively tomorrow night.
The frustrating part with that for me is he is quick laterally. He's got long arms, so he could be a nuisance. With sticking his hand in there and swatting balls and making it tough to get around you if you have your arms out. And then he's also, he could be physical. It's not like he's like a pushover or can be backed down easily or anything like that. So I feel like I don't know why he's not better defensively than he is. So I just wish we'd see that more consistently. And, for this particular team, maybe not with CJ out, but at times we need him to be a better defender than offensive player. And I just don't know if he wants to have that. But I don't think he's playing as bad as you do, but overall, just gotta find a way to make more of an impact on the defensive end and not be such a negative.
Next game, just pay attention to him defensively.
I
do. I know you do, but like even more so than normal.
I do a lot because I was the one that pointed out all year that multiple times a game he has a play where he commits a turnover.
And I wasn't focusing on it that much. And now that I am, I'm like, yes, Eric. Absolutely. And now you're like, maybe not that much. And I just like, you guys, I want you guys, this is your homework assignment tomorrow night, chat. Pay attention to Norm defensively and get back to me on how you thought like his focus/effort was. Okay? So, anyway, let's move on and talk about Yusuf Bubble Nurkic. At least he didn't get the clutch nickname because Norm was not clutch, Krish. Krish is our graphics guy, in case any of you don't know, and he is the biggest Norman Powell fan, so that explains that. Nurkic also plays 39 minutes tonight, probably the most minutes he's played all season. He's 7 for 11 from the field. 7 for 11 from the field. 5 assists, 1 turnover. Eric, we struggled offensively this entire game. Why did we not utilize Yusuf Nurkic more?
Been saying that all year.
It's like, people are like, oh, Nurkic complains about every coach. Well, honestly, I think this season he is more justified than any other year. Because Chauncey straight up lied to this guy about his role. I don't know why, but, like, he wanted a bigger role, all right? The one thing you can't do is lie to him. Like, you can come in and say, you know what, we want you to just, play be a good defender, set good screens, and then, you'll get a few touches, and, we think that's how you can best help the team in games where guys are missing or guys are struggling. Then we'll probably go through you a little bit more, but we like you as kind of, our fourth guy offensively. Because we got Dame and CJ and Norm. And Nurkic might not like that, but, like, in the end, I feel like he could somewhat respect that. What he can't respect is if that's the case, after you told him all preseason, all training camp, the press conference, the introductory press conference, Chauncey told him, and told all of us, that he was going to utilize Nurkic a lot more than Stotts did. He was going to utilize Nurkic's playmaking. He was going to get Nurkic a lot of touches. And I understand if Nurkic is struggling, maybe not just continuing to going to a well that's coming up dry. But in a game like this, where 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, 7 for 11 from the field in a game where we shot 42%, he was 7 for 11. He was 7 for 10 from 2. Misses only 3. He plays 39 minutes and only shoots 11 times. The hell was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah. That happened at your house.
I don't know what
Everything
that
okay?
was. I don't know. I don't know what that was. I think that was outside. I sound like maybe a firework, but I don't know. Yeah, so do you want to talk about Nurkic more, or do you want to move on to the next player? Because I'm going to be right back.
He's gotta hit at least one of those free throws. It's just frustrating. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just people see Ayton go off just like when Kaminsky went off, and I don't know. I don't know how we can explain it more than we do. And I don't know how people can explain it less than they do when they try to argue with us, because they never say anything of substance. It's just, he's soft, he should be dominating, he should... Are you okay?
Well, I'm going to go. I was just going to want to move to the next one so you can talk for longer, because I might be a minute.
Okay.
Anyway, next, you can still talk about Nurkic and then talk about Larry, whatever you want. I'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Larry, I thought, had a pretty good game. Would have liked to have seen him play a little more. I felt like we went away from him with all those players playing 39 minutes to 47 for Dame. Maybe Nance should have gotten some more minutes. The only thing tonight was the 1 for 4 free throws. It's difficult when we miss that many in a quarter. That's a killer. We would have iced the game had someone just made both of their free throws down the stretch. But overall, pretty solid numbers. I thought he was pretty good defensively. I thought the only thing I don't like is most of the time when Nance is turning it over, it's kind of frustrating. 4 assists to 2 turnovers isn't terrible for a big man, but I'd like to see him down around 1 turnover a game. And other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid game from Nance. What did you guys think of Nance tonight? It is frustrating, though, that the starting lineup still is having problems, even with Nas and Nance, 2 of our biggest energy guys in there. I did like they had a play set up. I think it was our second play of the game where Nurk got the ball up top and Nance sealed his guy down low. They had the high-low pass from Nurk to Nance, which would have been another assist from Nance, but Nance got scared from Ayton coming behind him. And he blew the layup. But there was also a play, if you guys recall, that there was we had talked about this last post game about Nance and Nas in the starting lineup. Well, the spacing's all messed up. There was a play in the first quarter where Nas cut off of that instead of posting up in the corner or spotting up in the corner. And it resulted in a Nance dunk, which I love to see. So I thought he did a better job of cutting tonight. He didn't shoot a 3, so that's probably good as well. But here's Tori with an update.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Okay.
I don't know how it was that loud, but yeah, that was loud. Anyway.
Thank you to Beavis the Blazer for a $5 donation. Have Nurk be the initial option in the post as our offense. Move Norm and Dame off ball. Have Nance and Nas cutting for lobs. That should be our offense. I think we should incorporate parts of that.
Yeah. It just needs to be more diverse. I agree with that. Appreciate Beavis with the $5 dono. Yeah, Larry filled up the stat sheet. I don't know what you've said about him. I'm just going to give my thoughts unless you were going to say anything else.
No, I'm good.
He, during that stretch to get us back in the game at the end of the third, he was huge. And it wasn't in a scoring way. He was like getting offensive boards. He was having good defensive possessions, making a good pass, making a good play. Like, he was the catalyst, in my opinion, behind that end of third quarter run, and it wasn't because he was scoring.
Yeah.
Like, that's impressive. He did not play enough tonight. He only had one foul and only played 28 minutes. He should have played, like, if we're going to play Nurkic 40 minutes, Larry Nance Jr. should have played 40 minutes. I don't understand it. Good things happen when he's on the court, in my opinion. And I feel like we needed somebody like him in crunch time. Yeah. I mean, like, he's like a guy who likes to, turn and hand off to the guards. But I don't know. I just felt like our IQ in crunch time offensively, like, we just played a dumb brand of basketball. And I trust him to, like, make the right plays and set off-ball screens out of freelance and do that sort of thing to maybe get something going when things bog down. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on him.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's move on and talk about Robert Covington. 8.7 boards. Did not fill up the assists, steals, or blocks like last game. Why in the world did he play 36 minutes and Larry Nance Jr. played 28, Eric? Because Larry Nance Jr. is starting over Rocco now, but Rocco's still playing more minutes.
The only thing I can think of is they have a mostly perimeter-based team, and Phillips thought it was good to have the two bigger players in there, but yeah, I don't
Here's
know.
the thing. Larry Nance Jr. at the 4 can still handle Jay Crowder or a perimeter player, and then you have an advantage of him on the offensive boards.
I'm not saying I agree with it.
Yeah. No, I know you're not agreeing with it. I'm just saying, like, that's why it doesn't make sense.
Maybe, as Jim points out, maybe it's because it was his birthday.
Dude, here's something that I came to this realization, which I was already, like, trending this way, but, like, I really came to this realization about an hour before the game. We have to trade Rocco this year. I don't think he's going to come back in free agency, and he hasn't been good, and I don't think he's been bought in. And I think that there's still a team out there that'll give up a first for him. Therefore, we have to trade Rocco this year.
I saw a Chicago Bulls, someone like a reporter or someone, a blue check mark Chicago Bulls guy on Twitter today throw out the idea of giving us our first back for salary filler and getting Rocco, and it was almost universally accepted by the Bulls fans commenting that would be a good move. Now the problem is they have one guy that could match it easily, but it's a guy we can't take back in a trade because we traded him to them, and we have to wait till the end of the season, and he's a free agent, so it can't happen either.
It'd have to be like a 3-team deal and setting
so that's
guy.
Derek Jones Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So we could possibly get our first back, and people might say that's like dumb if you just do it for nothing just to get your first back. But if you are interested in getting a Simmons or a Siakam or whoever becomes available, who knows? I'm just throwing out names. But like that would be a crucial step to getting into a position where we can trade all our picks again and don't have to worry about having it be protected for a certain amount of years and then how many picks can we trade in the future and all that stuff. We would be back to being able to trade for first-round picks if we really wanted to and have them all unprotected. So that puts us in a much better position. Plus, if the guy coming back makes less than $3 million than Robert Covington, that also puts us under the tax, so we have that benefit as well. So the problem is, other than the one guy we can't take back, the only players that they have that could be traded in combination for Robert Covington would be Kobe White and Troy Brown Jr. And I don't think they give us our first back in that trade because they probably value Kobe White. So then you're stuck in the same situation. Not that I want Kobe White, but I'm just saying, like, that's the only other trade they could make for Covington. So you'd have to find a third team for Kobe White in that situation too. But if this is a situation where we find a team that would take Derrick Jones that has maybe a trade exception or gave a small contract or something, or maybe even like a team like OKC who's so far under the salary floor that they don't mind just taking on salary, maybe we have to give them a second-round pick or something for it. If we found a team to do that, would you accept Robert Covington for Troy Brown Jr. and our first back?
Yeah. No, I mean, it also depends on, like, where we are. Like, if we're, like, definitely in the lottery, then it maybe makes me sour on it a little bit more, because I'm less for, like, trading lightly or unprotected picks in a Ben Simmons trade if we're in the lottery. So, like, if we're, like, hovering around 500, then that makes me more likely to say yes, but, yeah.
Here's what, even if we were in the lottery, though, getting our pick back allows us to trade a 2023 first.
True.
And
but we could trade a 2023 first after the draft anyway.
Well, we can't after the draft, but what I'm saying is, say we wanted to go get Ben Simmons this year or something, and we had to give up 3 picks. We could do like 23, 25, 27, keep our 22 just in case we don't make the playoffs in that situation.
I ain't giving up 3 picks for that, but
no, I'm just saying that was just an example. I'm not saying I agree with that or want to do that. I'm just
yeah, for sure. But like, does Derrick Jones doesn't match Rocco on his own? If you send Derrick Jones Jr. to a third team, because I think that would be the most likely thing.
You do, yeah.
Like, send Derrick Jones Jr. to Boston with their trade exception. Maybe you send a second to Boston, or Chicago sends, I don't know. Chicago sends a second to Boston, and then we get our first back, and they get Rocco. And then in that situation, we have no worries about the luxury tax because we shed $13 million without getting anything back. We would have a $13 million traded player exception that we could use all the way up until the trade deadline next year. We could also maybe bring in another team and use that $13 million we're sending out to match something else we're bringing in from somewhere else. Right? It gets complicated, but gives Portland options. And it increases Portland's flexibility, and they get their first back. So, like, if they still make the playoffs, 15th, 16th, 17th pick is still ours. So that would be a useful tool in the offseason, you know? Like, I feel like Rocco's more likely to leave. So if you got the pick back, even if we made the playoffs, you know, like, if you get the pick back, you'd be able to have that as an asset, whereas Rocco, I'm not sure you'd have him as an asset, and you could either re-sign him or he'd walk for nothing, so you wouldn't have that flexibility. So I'd be down for it. At that point, you need to replace his spot in the rotation. You'd have to go somewhere else, maybe get an unheralded guy. Maybe you go and trade a second for a Ken.
He's not a power forward, but you can move Nas up to power forward, maybe.
Yeah.
Do something with him at small forward, backup small forward.
You could maybe go out and make a small trade, like a second round pick for Kenrich Williams or something like that. Kenrich Williams is a name that I would be on the lookout as a guy that can play the 3 or the 4, and he's having a solid season this year. I think you'd be able to fill what Rocco gives you off the bench, and then you just start Nance going forward, or maybe you make a trade for a Simmons or a Siakam or whatever from there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I would do that trade, and I think that trade makes a lot of sense for both teams. Mm-hmm. And I think Derrick Jones Jr. would make some sense in Boston too.
Yeah, the problem is Boston, I think, is pretty far into the tax. So it would put them like really deep in the tax if they use that trade exception. So I was initially thinking that, but then I was like, oh man, I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay a ton of tax.
Yeah, but maybe do they have any like contracts that are just kind of bleh?
Not really. They're all either bigger ones or like smaller rookie deals. So.
Yeah, I just feel like OKC would be like, well, you better give us another first because we only care about first because we have so many of them.
Yeah.
That would be kind of the problem with using OKC. But, I mean, maybe in that trade you just swallow the bullet and take back a Josh Richardson. I don't know. I don't think Boston would trade Josh Richardson for Derrick Jones Jr., though.
Yeah.
They do have
Hernan Gomez, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, there's $6.2 million over the tax line. Derrick Jones Jr. is making what, about $10 million this year?
Yeah, somewhere.
So they'd have to trade out like up to $4 million. So Hernan Gomez does work for that, and he's barely played for them. Or they could do Langford would get him right around the tax line. I don't know how they feel about him, if they want to give up on him, but he hasn't really panned out as well as they thought. Other than that, like, I don't see anything that works to keep him under the tax, because I think they'd be willing to take on more salary, just not go into the tax. So that's kind of where that sits at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I think Rocco has to be traded, and you can try and get a first back for him. And I think a team out there, like, while people might disagree on, like, oh, he's not worth a first, I'm not saying he's necessarily worth a first right now. I just think you'll be able to get back a first from a team that still has the vision of him, of who he was like 2 years ago.
And
right?
I mean, honestly, I don't even think this is arguable, actually. So far this year, I'd say Chicago Bulls have the two best guard defenders in Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. So he wouldn't have the same problem here. So I think that's actually, and that was this guy's point too, is that's like an ideal situation for Rocco, where he's just part of a good defense, not having to carry a whole defense and make up for three
not
guys.
Being put on Chris Paul.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah, he wouldn't be put in that situation tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be ideal, like, where he, doesn't have to overhelp, but can still help when needed. But, like, he would be better defensively behind two guards that can really defend at the point of attack. Absolutely agree with that.
Just to correct you real quick, they're over the tax by almost $6 million.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Shoot, well, never mind. Maybe they would give up Josh Richardson in that deal, because they would want to save money. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's just speculation on what's possible, but I think in the end, you try and get a first-round pick and, like, an expiring contract for Rocco. You know what I mean? But, like, here's the thing is, as far as trade goes, like, if we're far below 500, then that's a situation where maybe you just, like, you try and get expirings and 2 picks for CJ. And then maybe you even entertain the idea of trading Norm and trying to get an expiring and a pick or 2 for Norm. And you do that with CJ, and you'd probably do that with Nurkic, and just set things up where you have basically Dame on the books. Obviously, like, Anthony Simons' cap hold because he'll be a restricted free agent. Nasir Little on the books. Maybe, like, a couple other guys, right? But, like, you have a lot of room under the cap to work with. Now, obviously, Portland isn't a free agent destination, so I'm not necessarily eyeing anybody. But, like, you would just get a bunch of picks to use in a trade to maybe combine and try and get someone. And then you enter, the free agent market. Not a lot of teams have cap space, so it may be more feasible for, like, Dame to recruit somebody, and you just see how the things play out that way. And if not, like, at least you get a high draft pick this year, if, like, this season completely falls apart, and then you get future picks, and you can just kind of, like, retool and try and make a run at it like next year or 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was kind of my idea with, if you missed, for those that missed it on Blazers Uprise Live yesterday, that was kind of my idea, just to get more picks and assets to use in trades down the road, or to do like a mini reset around him or whatever. But yeah, you'd have to get really creative, and hopefully Cronin is.
Yep. That's the thing is, I think there's options, depending on how the season goes. You got to do something. You got to be aggressive, but there is multiple paths this team can take. Let's move on. Tony Snell hit a couple threes, Eric. Look at that. 2 for 2 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I was saying, why is he in the game? We need to take him out, and then he makes 2 threes, and it's like, okay, cool. So good for him. +9, too.
Yep. I actually felt... Once again, I think that lineup had Nance and Snell, and he hits those 2 threes, and we get a lead, and then he takes those guys out. It was like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it mattered that much, I guess, as much as how we played, but still want to see guys when they do well just left out there.
Yep, agreed with that. Let's move on and talk about Anthony Simons. Had a tough night shooting tonight after being antomatic last game. struggled to knock down shots, Eric. I mean, that's really all I have to say about his performance tonight.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, he is starting to play good again. And hadn't had a clunker like this, I don't think, in a while.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, yeah, this was... Once again, we probably win if he makes a few.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, he's been really good offensively this year, in my opinion. He's averaging 12.5 points per game right now.
And
in 23 minutes per game. Per 36 minutes, he's scoring 19.3 points per game.
There was... I mean, he got some open 12 to 15 foot shots, and he just missed them tonight. He had been making most of those all year. I liked his was it an overtime? His little reverse lay-in, kind of at a weird angle. Almost got a second one to fall a short time after that. But yeah, it's I like that he was being aggressive. Unfortunate that he didn't make a lot.
Yep, agreed with that. Here's the thing this year with Simons. Last year, 70% of his shots were threes, and from two, he only shot 40%. This year, only 55% of his shots are threes, so he's shooting more twos. And he's gone from 40% from two to 54% from two. So that's a huge jump, where he's just much more than just a three-point shooter. So I like that evolution. He's still barely 22 years old. Or not barely, he's about 22 and a half. And that's the thing is, like, as he ages, his good performances should become more consistent. But, like, he's been efficient this year. You know, he's shooting 39% from three. True shooting percentage is 58%. For a guy scoring almost 20 points every 36 minutes he's on the court, that's, like, a true, that's a very high-level scorer. And he still has many years before his prime. So, playmaking's also improved. His assist percentage is up. Compared to last year. His turnover percentage is about the same. So his assist percentage went from 11.4 to 15.2%. His turnover percentage went from 9.2 to 9.5. So playmaking quality has improved as well. Overall, he's just it's just nice to see him take a leap. You know, he's going to have stinkers and whatnot. Every elite scorer does, you know, every good shooter does. Dame certainly has had many this year. CJ has had some. So, you know, games like this happen. I've just been very encouraged with his overall progression this season. So, anyway, we moved on to Nas. I don't know when the slide switched to Nas. It'll randomly switch sometimes for some reason. I have the slideshow stuff like set to arrow keys, and I think I'll accidentally like press an arrow key for some reason. So anyway, we're on Nas now. That was the next one, right? Yeah. Nas, quiet today. Got the start again, but didn't really have much of an impact on either side of the floor.
Yeah, fortunately, can't hit a three right now, or not consistently enough. One thing I want to give Chauncey credit for, when they had the ball with, was it 30 seconds left or something, we did put a mostly defensive lineup. He subbed Nas back in. We had most of the defenders on there. I thought that ball probably went off him after review. In lifetime, yeah, that's a tough call when someone knocks the ball out of your hand, but technically it's still in your hand. But so that was probably a bailout there, and then he did a great job of getting that tip. Yeah, just not good enough for what we needed with players out of this game. He needs to be a little better.
Yep, I agree with that. All right, that's it for the player cards. We will go around the NBA in a second. Is there anything in chat you want to shout out or talk about, or I don't know, anything interesting you in chat? What's going on in chat?
So I was answering Kyle Neely.
You're fine. I mean, you can answer it on there. I gotta load this up because I've been slacking on getting things up in time. It's gonna be a quick around the NBA today as well.
Yeah.
Only 3 games. Never mind. It's here, so you don't have to stall. All right, with 3 games today, you got...
He did such a good job, though. Just froze.
You got Steph Curry set the 3-point record tonight, Eric. Finally. In Madison Square Garden. Pretty fitting. Reggie Miller was on the call, and Ray Allen was in the stadium, so pretty cool to see some history there. Warriors get the win 105-96 over the Knicks. Nets beat the Raptors. Close one, 131-129. Toronto has had a couple heartbreakers lately, and the Blazers certainly had a heartbreaker tonight, losing 111-107. Here is the Western Conference standings. It's not pretty. We're tied with freaking San Antonio.
Yep.
We're only 3.5 games above last. So, I mean, we can be sorry for Jabari. We can regret for Chet. And we can wallow for Paulo. Those are the tanking slogans this year. And you said you like Jabari Smith. So maybe we got to start talking draft, Eric.
Yep, maybe.
not yet, but
I don't want to turn into draft Uprise, but... yeah, might not be too far away right now.
College basketball's in the swing of things. Now's the perfect time to watch some of those guys.
But yeah, Jabari Smith, my number 1 prospect right now.
Yeah, I haven't really watched him play. I've seen him compared to like a bigger Paul George, so that's pretty lofty.
Dude, he'd be so perfect for us right now. Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's intriguing. Anytime I hear a bigger Paul George... a bigger Paul George sounds good to me. So, anyway, I mean, I don't even want to look at this standings sheet. And then here is the standings in the East. I don't have anything to say about the East either. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the standings right now. Here's our next 5 games.
We'd be second to last in the East, or third to last in the East.
Yeah, we're tanking pretty well right now. Just jokes. Memphis, Charlotte, Memphis again.
Hey, we got New Orleans coming up. Maybe a week from tonight we can get a win, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they have their own situation with Zion, man. That's something else. Oh, we did miss Kyle's dono. I'll think it after this. My bad, Kyle. Yeah. We did miss your dono. Yeah, because we read off Beavis's, but didn't read yours off. Brooklyn on the 23rd is going to be a tough one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even care to look ahead.
Guys back because they just had a bunch of guys enter the protocols tonight. So if they're out 10 games, they wouldn't be available for that one.
Maybe that's the one we needed.
They only had 8 people dressed tonight.
Yeah, KD played though. So if you want to watch KD, you might be able to watch him for that game. Anyway, that's around the NBA. Anything else you want to touch upon for this stream, Eric?
Yeah, let me actually read Kyle's donation.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's been
Kyle
a rough
Wilson,
day.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. When we get caught up doing the other segments, sometimes it's tough to remember that there was a chat, so we appreciate your donation, and thanks for reminding me. Sorry, we missed it. He said that he was talking about we're both Beaver and Blazer fans, and Beavers have been dreadful this year after coming off a Elite Eight appearance last year, and the Blazers have sucked too, so it's been rough for us, and we need some help from the basketball gods.
Gonzaga's lost twice.
Man.
Timbers lost MLS Cup, and I mean the Mariners might be good next year, but they're in a freaking lockout. So, yeah.
Alvaro, what about the 49ers? They're fine. They're in playoff position right now. They're playing better than they were earlier in the season.
They're 7-6. I haven't really been bought in. I mean, at least my fantasy team. Actually, my fantasy team's gonna choke, Eric, like every year. They always do really good in the regular season, and then I don't win the championship. So, but I mean, I'll take my position over the bad luck you got this year, because it's rough, man.
Yeah.
You don't want me. I shouldn't have taken it that way after this fine. Rough loss, man. I feel bad. I shouldn't have even brought up fantasy. But good old McCaffrey owners, man. But me and Jackson are the 1 and 2 seeds in our fantasy league 16 playoffs, so we both got buys. Congrats to Jackson. We'll see if I can meet Jackson in the championship. That would be interesting. Anyway, appreciate you, Kyle, with the $5 dono. Sorry we missed that. Appreciate you as always. And I know Eric appreciates you because you got the Beaver logo. Yeah. Anyway, anything else? We've been streaming for almost...
No, just appreciate everyone tonight. And, yeah, I know a certain someone who his initials are A and H in chat heard me earlier, but just chill on the Dame talk in chat. Like, just please. I'm asking as a favor. Like, I know you hate Dame and you don't think he's a number one option, all that stuff. Just like, I don't want to have to read it every single night from you. Like, it gets old.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we're not going to talk about Dame trade ideas or anything like that. So there's really no point. Let's be a little bit more diverse with the comments. That would be cool.
Be nice if we had a trade stream one of these days, though.
Yeah, like we make a big splash and yeah.
We could actually talk about how it could break down a trade or something instead of having to break down this stupid team right now.
Yep. We are your number one stop for trade coverage because we know the CBA better than I think anybody out there. At least that covers the team. We've studied it. We, try and stay up to date about everything. We will have a trade deadline stream on trade deadline day and cover every move, and we do unique graphics for that and everything. So this is definitely your trade stop. That's kind of our specialty. Like we break down things in depth, but honestly, like a big part of our specialty is trade stuff. So we're at the trade talk is swinging into action. Thursday we'll have to catch up on some trade rumors. I think we'll have to talk Sabonis and a bunch of other guys. Jaylen Brown. We'll kind of keep you guys up to date on Blazers Uprise Live, which is our second channel. Link in the bottom. Link in the description. That's our second channel going live Mondays, Thursdays, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go subscribe. Also hit that like. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who donated tonight. We appreciate your support. Eric, final words.
Thank you everyone for watching as well. And chat's fun. Let's just promote discussions when that's all my point is. Promote discussions and back and forth instead of hate or whatever. Like, let's just have a good time and converse with each other. We want to be more interactive. That's like the most fun to me is when chat's asking good questions, interacting well. But if you're just saying the same thing over and over about how much you hate someone or how much someone sucks or someone's a soft or whatever, like that doesn't really help us because we have to sort through all those posts during a stream and then we get messages saying how we shouldn't interact with chat at all and stuff like that. So we want to find a balance where we interact with you guys and we have a good back and forth and all that stuff. We want to be interactive. So let's just all try to be better about promoting discussion and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I'm extremely frustrated with the team. I want to be able to I don't know. So, there's often times where I read chat and it just it gets to me with some of the stuff I see in chat. So I echo Eric's sentiments as well. We will be live again tomorrow night. Go ahead.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Have a good rest of your night. We'll be live again tomorrow night after the Grizzlies game. Hopefully we can break this freaking losing streak because I'm tired of losing. I forgot what it's like to have a stream where we win. I forgot what that feels like. I don't remember. I think it's pretty fun, right? That's so foreign to me now. It's sad. The Pistons games, last 10 games, Pistons, only game we won, and I went to that game, so the stream was late, and it was the freaking Pistons. Who cares? It's the Pistons. So, of course, we should have won. I miss winning. Hopefully we can figure things out. That's where I'll leave you guys tonight. Thank you for making us a part of yours. Have a good rest of your night and a good Wednesday until we catch you tomorrow night. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.